Hi, today we're going to talk about air, specifically the question, what if air became 5 times denser? Have you ever wondered what would happen if the air on Earth suddenly became 5 times denser than it is now? Let's begin by imagining how our everyday world would completely change in such a strange new environment. Every movement we make would feel much heavier, as if the air around us had become incredibly thick and resistant. Jumping would lose almost all of its height. You would go up and then fall immediately, barely getting off the ground. Sounds would become muffled and fade much faster in this dense air, making everything seem quieter than usual. Even your own voice would spread poorly, almost as if the sound waves were constantly breaking apart in the thick atmosphere. A simple light breeze would feel far stronger and much heavier than anything we are used to feeling. Leaves, small branches, and other light objects would move slowly, almost as if they were underwater instead of in the air. Running would appear almost like slow motion, with every step feeling heavier and more difficult to lift. Birds would struggle immensely to fly, as the thick air would slow down their wings and tire them quickly. Planes would fly slower, but stay in the air more easily. Helicopters would push more air, but their blades would spin slower. Any thrown object would lose speed very quickly. Cars would use more energy because of huge air resistance. And what about breathing? It would feel heavier, slower, and slightly more effortful than usual. Each inhale and exhale would require more effort, but fortunately, the oxygen content would still be enough to keep us going. Warm air near your face would linger like a light fog. Drones would barely move, struggling against the dense air. Even the ocean would change. Waves would be slow and heavy. A paper airplane would almost immediately fall down, but balloons would rise faster thanks to the dense air. Rain would fall slowly, almost floating down gently, as if gravity had weakened slightly. Under such a slow, dense rain, everything would appear to move as if in a surreal, slow-motion scene. Helium balloons, on the other hand, would shoot upward far too quickly, almost uncontrollably in the dense air. Riding a bike at high speed would be extremely difficult, almost impossible, because the resistance from the thick air would be overwhelming. Soap bubbles would float much longer in the air, drifting slowly and gracefully instead of popping quickly. Even candle flames would struggle to move, barely flickering under the pressure of the heavy air. Doors would close very slowly, as if the dense air were gently pushing back against them at every moment. Fog would settle close to the ground and move heavily, giving the entire scene a dreamlike quality. A simple sheet of paper would drift down slowly and gently, almost floating as it fell. A jump would almost seem to freeze in midair for a brief moment, making everything feel surreal and weighty. The difference between normal air and this unusually dense air would be massive, almost shocking to experience. The entire world would begin to look like a slow-motion movie, with everything moving deliberately and slowly. But if the air density were to suddenly drop again, things would quickly return to their normal, familiar behavior. Movements would once again become easy, natural, and effortless, as if nothing had ever changed.